Hey, good evening, everybody. I guess we're calling this the Dan Wickline Show. I mean, what the hell? Hey, Jay, good to see you. Um, yeah, I mean, no one else is going to call it their show the Dan Wickline Show, are they? I mean, sure, there's probably a couple other Dan Wicklines in this world, but how many of them have a podcast? How many of them try to do this? It'd be funny if there was another. There really was a second guy out there. Hey, Ed, good to see you. So I did up the thing today, this morning, and I put up the graphic saying, "Yeah, let's do a show." Hey, my parents have a barn, we can do a show. Um, and then I saw the news about Peter David, and yeah, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. Now, I didn't know Peter that well. You run into each other at a convention, you say hi, you sit near each other, those type of things. I know I've talked to him maybe a handful of times over the years. But that's not to say that he wasn't a big influence on my writing, because he was. And I'll tell you the story about that. But his death is really frustrating because a lot of it has to do with the fact that his Medicaid or Medicare or whatever ran out. He was trying to get help, and someone who was so beloved in this industry basically was forgotten by the people that run these industries. He's had medical problems for a few years. It wiped out his money. He's been struggling, and for the guy that created Spider-Man 2099, a guy who worked on Babylon 5, one of the few other people who could write that series besides J. Michael Straczynski. Hey, Mr. Nope. A guy who wrote multiple Star Trek novelizations based off of Next Generation. I don't know if he did others. Those are the ones I know of. A guy who worked for Marvel and DC, made major changes to characters like Hulk and Aquaman. To a guy that just was an amazing writer, amazingly consistent writer. But the industry can't really find the time to help him out at the end. And we've got the Hero Initiative that tries. We do crowdfunding, GoFundMe's. Yet here's a guy, one of the luminaries of our industry, and he's struggling at the end. And he's 68. He probably still could have written some amazing stories. But we're in an industry now that is struggling. The industry is struggling. The people that built it are passed over. And it's been that way forever. Stan Lee gets knocked for a lot of things having to do with the artists and stuff. But if you read any of the old, or any of the biographies or the stories of people covering that era, you find out that artists would call up Stan going, "Dude, I need work." And he would find something. I'm pretty sure that Daredevil was created because Bill Everett needed a job. Bill Everett, the guy that created the was it Submariner or was it Human Torch? I get those. Pretty sure he created Submariner. But yeah, Bill Everett needed work. Stan created Daredevil, and then he didn't bail on him when he couldn't get the issue done. They went and created the Avengers to fill the slot, and then he came back, and then eventually got Daredevil out there. Now, it got to a point where Bill couldn't do it, and they went to Wally Woods, and then eventually John Romita Jr., and down the line. But I don't know if we have those guys in the corporates anymore. The guys that just want to help out. And for a lot of the guys that are just on the periphery of the industry, I've been in the industry 20 years, 30 years. Oh my God, 30 years. I published my first book in 1995. So yeah, 30 years ago. And I've never gotten in the door with Marvel. I've had some conversations with DC. Actually, was pitching some backup stories for one of the series when things got shaken up. The editor I was talking to got taken off the series I was pitching to, and then shortly after that, left the company when they moved down here to LA. But at least I got into the conversation with DC. But there's a lot of guys like me, guys that do a couple little things here and there, and they have their time with the company, and then an editor moves on, and now a new guy comes in, and he's got his people he wants to deal with, people he wants to work with. It's a rough industry. But Peter was an amazing writer. Do you guys know that he was co-wrote things with Billy Mumy? They wrote things together, including a television show. I think it was called Space Cadets or something. When I was 21 years old, Peter David took over X Factor. And he put out the most life-changing book I've ever read. Yeah, The Kid from Lost in Spacehead. Also the co-creator of the song Fish Heads, if you're a Dr. Demento fan. It was life-changing for me because it changed my writing wholeheartedly. The issue was his first issue of X Factor, came out in 1991. I believe it was issue number 71. In it, he's introducing us to the new team that's being run by Val Cooper, I believe it is. And it's got Strong Guy, Havoc, and Polaris. And it is a very different team. I think Wolfsbane is on there. And they're all getting together to meet for the first time. And there's a meeting room. They have a conference room, which is very different from most comic books at that point. And one of the guys is making a sandwich, and he just wants to put some mayonnaise on his sandwich. And he's struggling to get the lid open. So while they're having all of this important conversation, introducing us to the team building stuff, there is this jar of mayonnaise that keeps getting passed around to all of these very powerful mutants. And all of them are trying and failing to open the jar. And then Val shows up. And just as I think Havoc is about to use his blast to try to open the mayonnaise jar, she takes it out of his hands, turns it over, smacks it once on the table, puts it right side up, opens the lid, hands it to the person making the sandwich, and goes about her business. Now, a bunch of things happening there. One is you've got a lot of talking heads going on, a lot of just conversation, which you need something for them to do. So this mayonnaise jar becomes the thing for the audience to watch as it moves through the panels. Number two, it shows each of them how they would do it using their powers. So you get a better introduction to the characters. Three, it shows the hierarchy of the team and why Val's there. Val's there because she's smart. She's a strategist. She can do this because she knows that you don't need brute strength to open the jar. You just need to break the air seal. Simple. But also what it does is it takes a conference room scene of a bunch of people with superpowers and makes it relatable to the reader. Just about everybody has had that moment where they're trying to open a jar. It humanized all the people in that scene. And it grounded the story in reality. Because, Havoc can blast, these big concussive blasts. And Polaris can use magnetism. And Wolfsbane can turn into an animal. And Strong Guy, I've never understood his powers. But all of them have a problem opening a jar. And when you accept that as a fact, they become more relatable and the world around them becomes more real. I saw what he was doing there. I was fascinated. I was blown away because it was such a subtle thing. They don't talk about the mayonnaise jar. It doesn't even come up in the conversation most of the time. It's the background. But he does, and it becomes so important that it defines that issue. Look it up, Peter David X Factor mayonnaise jar, and you will find it because it really is a simple thing. It's a couple pages in the background of a bunch of people talking, but it totally grounds that book. And it's a book with a bunch of characters who aren't normally the lead of books. And that influenced my writing a lot. So when I write something, I remember that I need to ground it. And that the mundane and the simple are the things that will not only get a reader to smile, to relate to, but it will bring out aspects of a character you wouldn't normally get so easily, and it makes it real. It grounds the scene. In the Lucius Fogg books, I have a character named Tiny. Tiny's a golem. He spends his days protecting the werewolf clan during the day since, they're in their coffins. That's his job. But he's more than that. He loves to read. Voracious reader. Anything he can get his hands on. One of the things he talks about in the series is Lord of the Rings, because that's it was a relatively new book at the time. And he's talking to Jimmy about that. And they always meet at a cafe, at a diner. And he always ordered the waffle. Tiny loves waffles. But Tiny's meticulous. He has to put butter and syrup in every square of the waffles before he can eat them. Just, he's OCD that way. Now, this is a golem I'm talking about. This is a creature that was basically made out of clay and brought to life. But so many people who have read the Fog books, Tiny is one of their favorite characters. And that's the type of thing that I did with him, just to ground him, to give him a personality, even though he's not in a lot of scenes. People love Tiny. And that comes from Peter David. That comes from what I learned reading his books. How he could take something mundane like that and make it stand out. There's a scene in the new book, Life. If you haven't seen it, here's my shameless plug. Available now on Amazon. In the scene, the main character, Aaron, is trying to get a job. And Blythe, there aren't that many places to get a job. So it's a Fridays-like place, you know. It's an Applebee's. It's what I don't remember what I call it in the book, but it's just this little restaurant. And she's asked to show how she could do a suggestive sale, how she could convince, to try to convince someone who's just had dinner to buy a dessert. And she's handed the dessert menu and asked to pick an item and sell it to them. And she gets hung up on the fact that one of the entries is a crustless apple pie. Now, the problem is that a crust is part of the definition of a pie. So if you don't have a crust, you don't have a frickin' pie. It's that simple. But, of course, people are trying to, oh, well, it's just like eating an apple pie, so you don't miss it if you're staying away from carbs. No, it's not a pie. It's an apple crisp is what they're making. They put oats on top and, And not only does that ground the character, when I wrote it for a very specific reason, because I had that real conversation with my editor, Salome, who is trying to cut carbs from her life and was making a crustless apple pie. And I told her that's not possible. And we, talking through whatever, I think it was Facebook at the time, had a very long conversation arguing over whether or not you could have a crustless apple pie. And she's like, that's what they call it. And I'm like, that's because they're idiots. They're just trying to fool people. So I wrote that into the book knowing she'd have to edit it. Actually, what's funny is she ended up not being the editor on that one. Her husband, Tim, was. It's the only book I've ever put out that Salome isn't my editor on. And yeah, that's it felt weird to me. Tim's great. Tim is freaking awesome. Did a great job. But I feel like Salome is my writing partner, even though she's my editor, because she really narrows me in. And then as I'm writing the next scene, I realize her standing up about the crustless apple pie made her a perfect candidate for a different job, which is where I wanted to go. So that argument ended up becoming important. But when I first wrote it, I wrote it just as a bit of a comedy break for the reader and also for grounding in reality. And again, I learned that from Peter David. All the great stuff he did, that to me is amazing. It's not something a lot of writers talk about. They'll talk about characters and plot and story and, just different writing approaches. I've had a chance to talk to a couple different writers about their writing style, and some of them are similar to me and some of them are very different. Steve Englehart is very different. Steve basically figures out what he wants to happen and he makes the characters do it. And me, I'm like, the characters drive the story, you know? If you are trying to get to a point, but you're having Captain America act out a character, then you got to find another way. And Steve was like, no, then that's what Captain America does. So, all right. I'd have gone on a little long about that, but I really wanted to talk about Peter. He was a very good guy, a very talented writer, and gone way, way too soon. So, all right, guys, I've got like 7 things I've watched recently that we could talk about. So let's fire it off with Captain America Brave New World. Now, I know we're months after it came out, but I didn't get to the theater. I waited till it came on Blu-ray, which I got right there. And I watched it, and I watched the director's commentary and the bloopers and the deleted scenes. And I thought the movie was very interesting. Overall, I liked it a lot. I think it's a good movie. There are little things that I don't know why they did. I'm not sure why they decided to change the look of the leader. And I guess it makes sense that if the gamma radiation is growing his brain, then why would it grow his skull? It's a different part of his body. Shouldn't, his brain breaking through. But the way they did it, it makes his brain very squishy. There's no protection. I think he should be wearing a hard hat all the time. I don't know. It was disturbing to me. I wish that there's images online of their first design, and I wish they would have stayed with that, made it more comic accurate. But again, that's minor. I listened to a lot of the knocks on the movie, on Brave New World. And it's funny, when you go online, you hear the knocks about it. All you hear are the people talking about how there was a bunch of reshoots and how there was this group of characters and then they changed them to this group of characters, and Seth Rollins was out and Giancarlo Esposito was in, and this character was supposed to do more and this character was supposed to do less. If you didn't know it, would people still complain? If the insiders hadn't been out there talking about all the changes and the reshoots and stuff, would people have noticed? Would they have cared? And it's what is happening all the time now. People love the Thunderbolts movie, but you're seeing this online thing of, there was supposed to be a whole Taskmaster story, and they decided just to kill her off. And that's horrible. And oh my God, it would have been so much better if the whole Taskmaster story had been there and she got her redemption arc. And it's like, how do you know this? How do you know it would have been better? Nobody liked Taskmaster. What they did to the character in Black Widow is one of the biggest negatives in the Black Widow movie. But now everybody is suddenly, oh my God, poor Taskmaster. Really? Really? I thought Giancarlo's Esposito, I've heard different ways to pronounce it. I thought his Sidewinder character was actually good. When you just look at what he did, He popped up a few times. It's a coherent character. You know, from hearing people talk about the movie beforehand, it sounded like he was just wedged in there. But no, he's kind of a dry. He gets hired by the leader to steal the items or the canister. He's supposed to get set up to get caught. And then, he gets caught, sent to destroy Captain America. All the things that happen that the leader uses him for, it all makes a perfect through line. So what are people bitching about? Now, the end scene in the cherry blossoms, the cherry tree garden, that looked bad. I'll give you that. Not the actual fight, but the aftermath of the fight, where he's sitting there, he's talking to the Red Hulk. The background on that looks horrible. Hard to get past that. So I will give you that the leader looked weird. The CG on the ending was rough. But I liked the rest of it. I liked the Manchurian Candidate style story. I liked that the carrot and the stick thing that Ross was doing. I thought Harrison Ford was awesome. I thought Anthony Mackie was awesome. I didn't find Joaquin Torres nearly as annoying as I thought I would. I started to like the Black Widow character, the Sabra's character. I know they didn't call her that in the thing, but I can't remember the character's name. So yeah, I actually liked Captain America Brave New World more than I expected to, but my expectations were based on all the negative commentary that were out there. And I don't get, it's a continuation of these online content creators who need stories to get you to click. I'm going to tell you how bad this is because they didn't do this. Well, other movies come out and they make big changes. We don't talk about that, do we? I don't know. About K2. K2. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look into it. I don't know if I don't think the digital copies were part of, when you bought one. I think the digital copies were separate, or I think there was an option you could get both, but I don't think it was automatic. So if you purchased one that was supposed to have a digital copy, let me know and I can kick them and see what happens. But I don't know if it's necessary, so I'll check your order. It's hard to avoid the negative stuff too. It is, Mr. Nope. You go on YouTube and it's all over the place, and it's ridiculous. If I brought up YouTube right now, okay, let's do this. I'm going to bring up YouTube on my other browser. And let's see. Hey, look, there's me. I don't have a lot of comic book stuff on right now because I've been doing politics and some other stuff, but I know what to do. Let's see. Let's go to New Rock Stars. Talking about the delays. Fantastic Four new footage. Here's a whole thing of why they changed. Thunderbolt's original plot details revealed. By whom? Is this something the director came out with, or is this, I don't know. I think the biggest problem that Marvel has is that Marvel got popular and a bunch of content creators started making a living off of talking about them. And then when it felt like less and less people were clicking, they started going negative and got the clicks back. And now they go negative all the time. Jay says, feels like the positive channels don't get the push, but I'd rather be positive and honest, be a small channel than hate monger and go to thousands of subs. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I want these movies to be a success. I want Fantastic Four to be huge, and I want Superman to be huge. Because there's a better chance there's going to be another one in other movies. There's a reason why Disney wanted this huge quantity of Marvel product, because it was making money. So, and there's a lot of characters I would like to see get a chance. I want a Moon Knight too. What the frickin' heck? I want Moon Knight too. So, all right. If you have any comments about Captain America, let me know what you're thinking. And we'll start moving on. Let's see, I got one TV show on my list. Let's talk about that. Andor Season 2. Oh my God. Have you ever watched something that is absolutely brilliant and really hard to watch? It's almost like Schindler's List. You know what they're doing on the screen is amazing, but you don't want it. It's rough. It's hard to watch. Andor was like that. And part of it is probably because we have current political situations that are similar to what's going on, or at least appear to be similar. So it's difficult. Lisa was just telling me a few minutes ago, before I started the show, she asked what I was going to talk about, and I said, and I mentioned Andor, and she said that it's an amazing show, but I can never watch it again. Like, I'm glad I watched it, but that's it. And I totally get it. Totally get it. I wanted to watch Rogue One right after and realized I can't. I need to break a break. I need to step away for a bit. I need funnier things. I need less dramatic, less political, less just oppressive feeling. And I thought the first season was, with the prison break episode and all of that stuff, and then, what happens on Ferrix. But this season, it's like, we're going to take that and condense it into 3 episodes and move on, and then we're going to do it again, and then we're going to do it again worse, and then we're going to really do it in the third. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Absolutely amazing TV. Probably the best thing I've seen this year, TV-wise. Maybe movie-wise, but TV-wise, definitely. Like Penguin from last year. It's like, it's hard to watch, but also you have to watch it. You want to see what happens, but I think they did a great job with it, and I'm glad they're done. I feel so bad for Cassian Andor and the arc of his life. Because if you think about it, everything that happened is because he was trying to find his sister. That was the catalyst. That's why he went to that other planet. That's why he went to that strip club. And that's why he ran into those 2 guards that were trying to shake him down. Everything that happened after that was because he was trying to find his sister. He wasn't a good person. You know, he was a scavenger. He owed people money. He was a survivor. But Jesus, if those cops had left him alone, his life wouldn't have changed that much. Cyril's life wouldn't have changed that much. Would Dedra's life have changed that much? She wouldn't have got on to Axis. I mean, come on. All of that because the two security guards decided they wanted to try to steal money from him. Everybody's life has changed because of that. All right. If you got any Andor comments, please throw them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving on. I finally got a chance to watch some older movies. John Wick 4. I had not had a chance to see John Wick 4 because I haven't gotten to a theater in a while. I'm pretty sure the last movie that I saw in the theater was Quantumania. Just between issues with health and it's been tight, financially tight. So having the money to go to the movie when I'm paying streaming services and stuff, I hate waiting, but so I finally got to watch John Wick because it finally got on a channel that I had. I don't have Stars. It was on Stars for a long time, but now it's on Peacock. So I watched it. There's not a lot of plot to these movies anymore, but I'm okay with that. Because it really is, in a lot of ways, just one big giant movie. You know? The guy got his dog got killed, and his car was stolen after his wife died. That's the motivation for all of this, and it's still such a pure motivation that it works. And I really loved bringing in Donnie Yen, who's playing another blind guy. How many times is this poor guy going to play blind? He was blind in Rogue One. And I'm sure if we go through, there's probably one or two more. But absolutely brilliant. Clancy Brown. You tell me you're putting Clancy Brown in a movie, there's a good chance I'm going to watch it just for Clancy Brown. Ian McShane, always good. Lance Reddick, one of his last roles. I know he's got one more coming up in The Ballerina, but it's a shame he died way too young too. Such a good actor. You got not Denzel, you got Lawrence Fishburne in there. It continues to be such a good movie franchise. And as much as I love that, I've got two movies that I saw recently that really seem to try to copy it. And one of them was from the same writer. Derek Kolstad or whatever, Kolstad. And that's Nobody. Now, I know Nobody's been out for a while too. But there's been talk about Nobody 2 coming out in August. And Lisa's like, hey, we should watch this Nobody show movie. I'm like, all right, so we'll give it a shot. I didn't like it nearly as much. Because it's, how did I describe it? I told Lisa, it's like it's Walmart John Wick. It doesn't have the world building. You know, part of what makes John Wick amazing is this whole thing exists around him. Yeah, he's this freaking force of nature, the Baba Yaga, that exists within this world. You point him at someone and say, kill, and he does. But the Continental, the hotels, the concierge, all of that stuff, it's this amazing world that was built up around the character. In Nobody, you don't get that. You find out, yeah, he was an assassin for the CIA. Okay. His dad was an FBI agent, I guess. He's got a brother we know very little about, but they pop up at some point. He takes on the Russian mob, and it's the brilliance of John Wick, the first movie, is that his motivations were so pure. It wasn't, anything complicated in the sense this poor guy's wife dies. She leaves him a puppy to help him mourn. And someone comes, steals the car with his favorite photo of his wife in it, and kills that puppy. There is not a single person who didn't watch that film and went, "Kill him, John. Kill them all." As soon as that puppy was dead. It was like, whatever your backstory is, kill them all. Yeah, you've got guns in the cement? Wonderful. Gold coins? Great. I don't know what they're for, but let's get them out. Whatever you got to do. You got a nice suit. Excellent. Look sharp killing these guys, but he needs to die. And everybody that knows him needs to die. Everybody protecting him needs to die. And it was so pure. It says the first John Wick was magical. Expected nothing going in and was floored after watching it. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it was. It was so pure. And the world building was like done in the background. But the motivation was put out there right away. And everybody watching went, he killed your puppy? Kill him. Kill them all. And that's what he did. That was the plot. What's the plot? John Wick's going to kill a lot of people. Really? Yeah, we're going to move him from different places, but he's just going to kill a lot of people. Okay. Hey, we got a John Wick sequel. Yeah, what's going to happen? He's going to kill a lot more people. Still for the puppy? Yep, for the puppy. Do it. Third one. Hey, we're pushing it here. It didn't kill a lot of people. There's another girl in there. She's also a killer. She's got dogs, and someone tries to hurt the dogs. Go do it. And that's what makes those shows work. Motivation is so pure. With nobody, the character doesn't lose anything. Someone breaks into his house, and he doesn't hurt them because he knows the gun is empty. And they spend a lot of time telling us that he's a loser. And then they try to tell us, no, he's not. He's actually a ex-assassin. Well, wonderful. But still, there's a couple of fun moments in there. Like when somebody sees the tattoo on his arm, recognizes what he is, and just goes into another room and locks the door. Says thank you for the service and stuff. So there's a couple cool moments, but overall there isn't the world building. There isn't the pure motivation, and it's just kind of silly. He's the one you call to kill the fucking boogeyman. Yep. It's absolutely true. What they did with John Wick was so amazing. And so, like I said, they dumbed it down to the point of making it so simple a motivation that everybody could get behind it without any, in an era where people have a hard time paying attention, it was perfect. They don't get that. His family's fine. The big thing was his little girl lost her kitty cat bracelet, and then it turns out it's just under the couch. He's looking for a fight when he gets into the mess. So move forward to another movie similar to that called Love Hurts. That's a recent one with Ke Huy Quan from Indiana Jones movies and Loki and everything everywhere all at once. And the big problem with that is it's another one where a former assassin decides to try to go straight. It's hard to take him as an assassin. He's such a nice guy. And he starts off playing a really nice guy. And they even tell you that he's not that bad. He was just ordered to do these things. So you never get the feeling that he could do these things. And then there's supposed to be this love story between him and this other girl, and there's like zero chemistry between them. So where it's fun to watch him fight, he's great at that. And it's interesting because some of the people he's fighting, Marshawn Lynch, the running back from the NFL, is one of the bad guys. Does a remarkable job. I can't think of the other actor's name, but he was Cottonmouth in the Luke Cage series. He plays this poet killer, and I mean, there's some really funny bits in there, but there's no connection between the couple that is supposed to be the driving force, and you never take him seriously as an assassin. So, John Wick 4, awesome. Continuing in an awesome series of movies. Nobody, it's okay. Love Hurts, it's okay. And one more movie. This one was a happenstance. I happened on to. This was called Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre. This is a movie from Guy Ritchie. And you know you're going to get good action out of a Guy Ritchie movie. But it's got a fun cast. Jason Statham, Josh Hartnett, Audrey Plaza, Hugh Grant, Carrie Ells. So right there, you got that. That had my attention. That got me to stop to see what the hell is this. Now, it's pretty straightforward spy story. It's not reinventing anything. It's, somebody has created a AI program that can hack into any government system, trigger off like all the nuclear bombs, and rewrite itself to make it look like another country did it. Pretty powerful tool. And this group is supposed to go in and stop him. You find out there's another group of agents, freelance agents, also working the case, and they're competing with. It's a fun movie. Josh Hartnett plays an actor that they're using to get into this rich arms dealer guy's house, because the rich arms dealer is a huge fan of the particular actor. So you have this fish out of the water on the team. You have Carrie Ells playing the bureaucrat of the team. Jason Statham is the main guy. He's got his backup guy, JJ, and he's got this new communications computer person in Aubrey Plaza. It just really works. It's a fun movie. It's from about 2 years ago. If they put another one out and it popped up on a Peacock or whatever, I would watch it again, another one. Because again, it's just a fun movie. And it feels like one of those that you could do multiple ones with. Like, hey, Jason, we made a James Bond style movie for you. Okay, great, let's do it. And it's like I said, it's Guy Ritchie. There's some great car chases, a lot of great fighting. It's a fun one. Your motivation's pretty pure again. So if you got Peacock or if you get a chance to watch it, Operation Fortune. But the only silly thing in the entire thing is the character's name. Jason Statham's character is Orson Fortune, which is a horrible name. but that's where the movie title comes from. So, all right. Those are all the main things I wanted to talk about. I'm a little disappointed that Suits LA isn't continuing. I'm a Stephen Amell fan, having watched every episode of Arrow probably twice. I really wanted this to work. I liked the original Suits series, but it just didn't catch on. So I'm disappointed because I was really getting into it. As the show got on, it was silly, it was dramatic, it was laughable at some points, but it was Suits. It was the same thing you got with Suits. So if you like the first Suits, you'd like this one. Is Stephen Amell as charming as Gabriel Macht? Not quite. But he is kind of in his own way. So I'm disappointed that isn't going to continue. So what are we looking at there? Oh, got about 50 minutes. Anybody have any questions? Anything they'd like to know about? Anything about the shows we talked about? I am still working on, I was working on it earlier today, the next Fog book, working on chapter 3. Was actually had a pretty good head of steam on it when I heard about Peter, and that really just kind of derailed me. So, but it's starting to come together. A little slower than I had hoped, but it's starting to come together. And I'm at a point now where, I lay down to go to sleep and the story is still going in my head, adding to it. And that's where I needed to get to. So as long as I've got time to sit down and write, this thing's going to happen. Then I got to figure out how to get the word out, how I'm going to put it out on Kickstarter, what publisher I'm going to use, or what printer I'm going to use. Being a one-man show sucks. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not really a one-man show. I've got Salome Jones to do my editing and to make the books good. I've got Jason Krager to do the covers. But figuring out all the Kickstarter stuff, figuring out what my stretch goals could be, pricing and how to promote it and stuff. And, I'm bad at it. I'm really bad at it. I'm bad at self-promotion. I still dream of someday having a partner to come in looking, look, you write, I'll sell. That's my dream. Let me go hide in a room, give me a big comfy chair and a computer that works at my speed, and I will crank stories out. Don't make me worry about bills. Don't make me worry about things. Just let me write stories, and I'm going to give you a ton of them. I can dream, right? What was your thoughts on Marvel publishing or pushing back 6 months? Yeah, that's a good topic to talk about. The news that the 2 Avengers movies got pushed back from May 2026 and 2027 to December 2026, 2027. I think this is a good thing. I think that it means they'll have more time for special effects and stuff, because they're not like stopping filming. They're filming right now. But if they want to give themselves an extra 6 months to make the things look the best they can and to not overtax the visual effects department, beautiful. I can wait an extra 6 months. I'm okay with that. Any new trustworthy updates on the Batman 2? He's leaving the project and the movie may get canceled. Okay. According to James Gunn, he's not leaving the project. It's not getting canceled. The best news, the most accurate news I've gotten so far is that they're still looking to start pre-production by October and to start filming in early 2026, which is what they need if this is going to be a thing centered around the winter. So this all sounds like they're right on track. You won't get casting news probably until the end of summer, and they don't want to distract right now. They've got this other couple projects they're getting, want people to focus on, like this whole Superman movie and Peacemaker 2. So there are so many rumors out there that it's just getting ridiculous. And these people make money off of rumors, off of clicks. So anytime I hear a story like that, I go to James Gunn. Because if it's true, he will verify it. If it's false, he'll deny it. Or he won't give it any credit. But if it's true, he will say so. He's not, Who do you trust more? The people that get paid for you to click on their links, or the guy trying to build a company, trying to get you to trust him so you come see his movies? Gunn is involved in Batman 2 in the sense that it's under the DC studios. It's not part of the new DC universe. It's its own universe, but all DC movies are under James Gunn and Peter Safran. They're running all of DC. So the Batman is under James Gunn in the same sense that the Joker, Foilaru, came out, was technically under James Gunn at the end. He didn't have much to do with it, but he was promoting it because it falls under that category. So everything DC, whether it's part of the main universe or an Elseworld or its own little thing, still falls under the studio itself, which is run by Gunn and Safran. Says, nice, I agree with you on the Marvel pushback. It's the perfect thing. It improves. 6 months isn't too long to wait. Exactly. And you never know. They might squeeze another movie in there in that May 2027 slot. They gave Devil Wear Prada 2 to the May 2026 slot, and I'm okay with that. Devil Wear Prada was a so much better movie than it should have been. I don't even like Glenn Close that much, and I thought it was a good movie. I didn't mean to watch it. Yeah, you ever you're flipping channels and suddenly it's on, you're like, what is Stanley Tucci doing? Why is he being a catty little... Oh, it's Anne Hathaway. What's going on here? And next thing you know, oh my God, this is the Devil Wears Prada. And you end up watching the movie. So, all right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me go on and on about Peter and about the movies and stuff. And I'm going to try to do these weekly. Build up a back of regular things. So I will hopefully see you guys next Sunday. I will post during the day on Sunday if I am and what the topic will be. And I hope you'll be here. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.